unfortunate that you can get a mobile phone on an EMI in 2 minutes, but you may not able to get a financing at a hospital in 2 minutes.
The theme during 2015 to 2020, pretty much, we are a lending startup, but we are using tech to do something, and that's our differentiator, and that's why we will be a better lending company.
The tech does not become the differentiator. It is the risk, it is the processes, it is the ability to really go through the cycles becomes the differentiator.
Ashish Goyal is the founder of Fibe, formerly known as EarlySalary. Fibe is a profitable Pune-based lending fintech that has disbursed loans to millions of Indians, helping them access instant affordable credit.
In Bangalore, the attrition rates are quite high. There is a saying that in the lunchtime people go and give interviews. ESOPs plays a very critical role because it gives the ownership mindset.
If you generally map out the startup founders, there will be one tech and one domain non-tech. In your case, there was no tech co-founder. Did you ever see that as a disadvantage? Ashish, I know you guys started out as EarlySalary, giving salary advances to employees who were in specific needs and so on. But talk us through Fibe. What does Fibe do right now? What are all the stuff that you cover? Who are your customers and so on and so forth?
Sure. Thanks, Satish. I think I'm very, very happy to be on this podcast. And as I speak about Fibe, I'll also talk about my journey, how EarlySalary started, why we started it, and why today we are Fibe, and what all we do. We are a consumer fintech based out of Pune. I started this in 2015 with my friend Akshay. We started with a single purpose that there is a large middle India. There is a large aspirational Indians who are going to grow and become the larger backbone of the country. And can we provide a financial assistance to those consumers at a scale across India using a technological analytical backbone? So we remain very, very core to three pillars. One is that it is we are servicing the middle India, which is aspirational in nature. Second is it has to be backed by very strong tech and analytical framework as a company to ensure that you can provide cost-effective delivery of services to them. And third is very unlike of a startup when we started was to build a company which also has a profit focus. Today, we are a very small team from that perspective and dependent a lot on building analytical frameworks which can allow us to underwrite customer, collect from the customer, provide them the seamless journeys, build our fraud engines, etc. And all this has over a period of time allowed us to do a pan-India businesses while being stationed in Pune as a head office and with no branches. And our ability to scale became very, very high from that perspective.
So your GTM is still going through the company? You first approach the company and then the individual, or there is a direct consumer play as well?
So for my personal loans, we don't do GTM through the company, so it is not an employee direction. We think that restricts our growth to a larger companies because it is very, very tough to go and tie up with such a large aspirational class who are not just working in the top 50, 100 companies. India is a very large country with a large enterprising companies. So it is better to go open market and build those expertise directly. At the end, we want to fund the consumption customer, not the companies. From that perspective, we acquire our customers directly. We fund their needs directly because then you can actually service the middle India, what the path we wanted to take.
If you generally map out the startup founders, there will be one tech and one domain non-tech, or however you want to structure it. In your case, one of you obviously were the domain person and your co-founder was a marketing person and there was no tech co-founder. Did you ever see that as a disadvantage? Did you guys trying to get somebody on board as a founder? Do you think that was important?
So, Satish, let me correct that also. While I come from a financial services, I never did retail credit. Okay. I was an investment professional managing large checks. That point in time, if somebody asked me to write a 50 crore check, it is a small check for me. From there, I'm coming down and thinking of distributing 50,000 rupees as a credit was a very, very different domain expertise which is needed. So both of us come from a different background from that perspective. Akshay comes with a marketing and the product and the leadership thing. I come from a risk management, fundraising, financial expertise. I think that was a blessing in disguise, to be honest. Means like both of
Wow.
us came with the ideas, which if 10, 15 years of experience could have negated them. So from that perspective, it was a blessing in disguise where both of us decided to start. One of the things which I was very clear when I started that you can always find talent. You can always find people who can deliver things if you know what right systems to build, what are the right ways to persevere, and how do you really ensure that you have the right tracking mechanism and ability to build businesses and going and also um, most of the time the founders or the entrepreneurs are paid for surviving the roller coaster. That is the biggest ability more than anything else. Plus, also ensuring that have a ability to get the things done. So both of us, from that perspective, was very very clear, and we from the day one started looking at the point saying that there are two things which we need to add. One is like you rightly said, tech talent, as well as second is also the uh, retail credit risk portfolios expertise. And we were lucky, or one you can always play a luck part, but we went out, looked for the people, and we were lucky enough to find two like-minded people who joined us as a CTO, and also to on the other side, one person joined as a to lead our risk analytics, the entire operations for the company. The other person still remains with us after 10 years.
Wow.
Currently is the CEO of my NBFC. And The CTO came in the early phase, built the tech along with the people which we hired over a period of time. And Of course, those journeys you will always find people. I think it is never about whether the product, because the tech plays a one part of it. Especially tech founder is very good if you are building a very very tech focused products. But if you are building a tech focused businesses where tech is an underlying layer, then that advantage may not be as prominent as it is in, let's say, if I'm building a AI product or if I'm building a solution to sell something in US or something to sell as the underlying technology. So from that perspective, I didn't ever felt that having a tech founder was a critical ask to be there. We went ahead, hired the talent, able to build those things, put the right systems in place, continue to be very, very agile in building tech first solutions. Of course, over a period of time, I also learned what questions to ask, what is the APIs, what are the tech systems, what is the securities, etc. So you learn, you need to be very very having that childish curiosity to learn new things and be very very open to knowing that you don't know things, and it is okay to have somebody else lead that particular function than you being the leader.
No, no, fabulous. And the reason I specifically asked that was so in my VC life, we saw a lot of companies who were trying to disrupt lending, right? And the theme during 2015 to 2020, those 5 6 years was pretty much, oh, we are a lending startup, but we are using tech to do something, and that's our differentiator, and that's why we will be a better lending company. So
Yeah.
almost every single lending startup came with some sort of or thought that they had some tech differentiator, and based on that they built the business, and therefore they could differentiate with the traditional NBFCs and so on. So that was the core of that question. But it does look like the CTO hire filled that gap, and your
That
own
gap.
curiosity, kind of helped, cross over that particular hump. You know,
And
but would you would
beyond
you
the
would you do anything differently if you were doing it today?
Uh, answer would be no. I don't think, rather, there will be few things I would, of course, definitely there are learnings. So, like, maybe I will now behave like a person with a 15-year experience, and there are things which I thought are possible. I may not do those things now, and which maybe in my mind is more of a constraint than a enabler. I think sometimes I learned this thing that you need to just learn from the experience, but just ensure that you don't learn too much from the experience, and keep that kind of a balance between the experience and when you put it rightly. There is a baggage or is it an experience? So that's there. Having said that, I think when you are building especially a business which is tech enabled, uh, technology plays a one part of it. And especially
Right.
when you are building a lending businesses, unless you are building tech which powering lending for somebody else, and if you are building something which is powering your own tech, your own lending, most of the time the mistakes don't happen in the tech, or the tech does not become the differentiator. It is the risk, it is the processes, it is the ability to really go through the cycles becomes the differentiator. And most of the fintechs who succeeded did that well. Most of those fintechs who did not succeed or could not make it to the lines, most of the time falters on the business side, not on the tech side. That's why it is very good to have a large tech team, but also to ensure that the other pillars of the businesses are done nicely and built it with a same rigor.
Cool. And again, continuing on the same thing in terms of hiring the rest of the tech team itself. So would that have been slightly better if one of the leaders, the tech, or rather the tech leader was one of the co-founders, or you thought, the CTO actually filled that gap out? Generally, what happens is, and especially tech, it's a tribe, right? I was working somewhere, and I'm like a senior director and I have like 20 people. People tend to follow you in groups. There's, if you're either inspired or you're very comfortable working with a tech leader, or there is some chemistry in the group, and which is why you will see whenever a tech leader leaves, a bunch of people follow, and one of the most positive things about a tech founder that I see in all the startups that I've been involved in and observed outside as well, the pace at which they're able to build the tech team, because they have this some sort of a following, and you're able to really build an A-class team really, really quickly, versus going and picking up individuals, one by one and hiring from the market, so to speak. Did you guys ever see anything of that sort?
So, while I generally don't like tribes following as a founder, purely because one is that then you get all single-minded people with the same kind of thought process, and second, then they are also got a mentor, so that becomes a very tough to really build a very diversified team. Uh, Having said that, Pune is a large pool of talent. Most of the times we feel that Bangalore is the place to go, but India has a lot of cities where the tech companies has come out. Whether we talk about Jaipur, whether there are companies from Hyderabad, there are companies from Gurgaon, there are quite a companies from Pune also, which has really built a very large tech enterprise. Some of them are, one say that they are services or the product companies which are now listed, and very big companies out there. And we have a large tech pool which is available for you to build the initial technology stacks which you need it. And just to add to this, actually we built the entire technology in-house, whether we talk about lending systems, the front-end mobile applications, LMS, LOS, all has been built in-house apart from building the analytics layer. So the tech is not only the tech, it is also the analytics piece which works very
Right.
well. And my belief is that, of course, there is always, when you are early stage, it's not about tech only. See, we never went and raised a $50 million in the first round that you will go and get any kind of a tech talent. You always built slowly, steadily, went on to raise capital like when Sudhir came in. It was a very small check from that perspective, if you look back today. So from that perspective, you also are prioritizing between the technology, the cost, the other talent which you need for running these businesses. And we across board there were challenges, but I never said that there were setbacks or there were a paucity of getting the talent in Pune. Rather, we have today people, whether it is tech or non-tech, come across from the cities or from the places they worked before. and they came to Pune to work with us. In the early days, there was a belief in the concept. Few of the people joined for that. But I don't see having a strong tech founder, tech lead who can pull a lot of his people who he worked with. That can be a very, very lazy way of also, especially when you are not building a product and you are not having just a team of 10 members who you all want 10 of them, and you built it when you are building 1,000 employee things. And that is also a lazy way of just on acquiring talent because the diversity misses out on this piece. So from that perspective, I don't see that as a big challenge. Rather, I would be more than happy to go and hire. And especially when you are hiring in 10 departments, you will hire 2, 3 people. Like early days, we had 7, 8 tech people who are working and building the tech. Yes, those were the people who were also very, very enthusiastic about building new things, building from scratch, high on energy, high on expectations, but also they would do things which people cannot. Means in today's world, I may need 10 days to deliver something which they delivered in 1 day purely because the complexity was much lower than what it is today. So from that perspective, I don't see the technology. We faced a challenge in hiring the technology piece to that extent.
So great, Ashish. I mean, it does appear that you have a clear framework of how you want to hire, what kind of people that you want. So when you interview these people, whether they're developers or anybody else for the kind of business that you're building, what is a primary, red flags, green flags that you would want to look at? Do you, over a period of time, is there something that works for your business that you want to look at, the kind of culture that you're trying to build? Well, let's talk through some of the red flags first, and then maybe we can get into the main.
So on the red flags, of course, some of them are pretty standards. When you feel that there is the underlying depth of the knowledge is weaker than what the role you are hiring for. There are excessive there is a lack of teamwork. There is entitlement coefficient is very high, or where the person is resting on his laurels of education, or I worked with X company or Y company in the past and I know everything. Those were pretty much the pretty standard red flags. What I really look at today, because today I interview primarily the people, either if they are at a senior leadership, then I really look at from them technical as well as from a team as well as culture perspective. But if they are one layer down and you are just looking for assessing him for the final touch, most of the time my focus is less technical, purely because of the fact that it must be cleared before it's coming to me. I focus a lot on how does his hunger is. For me, it is very, very critical, purely because I really want to see anybody I'm hiring, whether in 3 years' time, can he take a larger position, whether it is cross-functional or whether it is it's like replacing his own boss. And second is that does he has a ability and the cultural fit for me? Because from day one of the things which I'm very, very particular and very conscious about is that whatever culture we built as when we were 100 employee company, can we continue to have the similar culture when we are 1,000 employee company? Like just to give an example, even today I don't have a cabin. I sit on the floor along with everybody else, do my work. So none of the office, nobody in the company has off cabin from that perspective, and from that sends a message also very strongly that how do we really want to operate as a company. So those are the critical pieces which I look at from a green perspective. Yes, in the initial days, it is also very critical because you need even the senior leadership to be hands-on.
Correct.
So, like I still remember my first hire, even whether it is a CTO or whether it is a head of risk or etc. really getting into the nitty-gritties, whether they might be coding themselves. There were days I know that that time CTO was coding himself, or my underwriting guy was doing the actual underwriting himself. Today, he's not expected to do that because my expectation today is much more strategic in nature than execution in nature. I want more of a team management, strategic thought processes at the leadership level than what 10 years back when I started I needed. The requirement of what I'm looking for has changed, continue to change over a period of time, and it will evolve further as we become larger, more complex, more bigger. And that will continue. And I keep very, very conscious fact that how do my organization structure should support that kind of a growth, that kind of a talent, while ensuring that whoever is with us, their individual growth. One of the things which is very critical as a leader is that while you need to meet the company's objective, it is also very critical to meet the individual's personal objectives or personal aspirations. If we are not building to create an environment where he can meet his personal ambitions, which he has set out for himself, whether it is monetary, whether it is personal, professional goals, that has to be kept in mind at a scale. Otherwise, we will never be able to retain the talent.
No, no, that's a great point. I was going to go there. Two things. One, Pune. Obviously, you've been pretty successful in hiring in Pune, right? But what is it if we were to take a look at a typical person from Pune? What are their aspirations? Are these, again, I mean, today all cities are connected. People move around freely. I don't think there is as much of an issue between people, moving for a period of 4 or 5 years until they get to a certain age where they probably for whatever family reasons they may have to stay put in a place. But in terms of Pune, what is it that generally is not well understood, or what are those unique things about aspirations of people from Pune?
So before I get into that piece, I'll put up an analogy which generally we carries with ourselves. We whatever we built in the early days, whether as a company, as a city, whether as a person, we carry that brand for our life. Like if somebody
Correct.
even calls me today, I might have changed completely after starting my company, but I might still carry the same kind of brand which I built in the first 3 4 years interacting with people.
Right.
Similarly, there are companies who moved completely away from what they started with, but they are still recognized by that. Like today, even while Nokia does more software, but still it is still remember there's a mobile company. So Pune, from that perspective, and Bangalore, from not that perspective, is seen as a city which is for education bound, which is a close cousin of Mumbai, and
Right.
something where you may not have a tech talent and or may not have a large kind of opportunities. But I think that's very far from the truth. Today, Pune has a lot of tech talent. A lot of GCCs are here,
Correct.
Infosys and every other companies here. There is quite a few large enterprise which came out from here, which are listed now, and from a tech perspective. From a non-tech perspective, from financial services, of course, Bajaj has a large presence out here.
Correct.
Apart from that, it is very close to Mumbai. So from that perspective, it has a large pool of talent which can be pulled from Mumbai. It is much better city to live in among all the metros which is there. Yes, we have a not so great airport. Apart from that, I think we are very well able to get the talent. And second, for me, I'm not really building a very large pool of people. Rather, my aim is to really find the right set of people who can build it. And many times you will find talent which we look for. Some of them are also inbound talents because globally there are many people when they want to come back to India. Some of them end up in Pune for various reasons. So like just to give an example, my first head of analytics was in Boston. He wanted to move back to Pune purely because of the personal reasons, and he found us. Similarly, my today's head of data science did his MBA from US, wanted to come back to India, and he chose Pune, and we became the first choice for him, and we rehired him. He was working with us, went to US to do his master. After master, he called us saying that, look, I want to come back. Would you hire us back? We said, of course, we'll hire you back. So there is enough talent available in Pune. It is the piece is that how do you really build that kind of affinity, and you need build that kind of confidence that it is a company for them to build their careers on. The other thing which is very critical that uh, I think when you are hiring a large piece of when you are hiring in large numbers, maybe the Bangalore can have a larger talent pool. Yes, we may have a little bit less talent pool, but from a talent intensity perspective, I don't see Pune has any inferior thing. Like our current CTO, which we are hired in from Pune only, didn't move from anywhere else. IIT have a very very strong background in AI, etc. And if you hire few people, you need to train them also, whether in Bangalore also. Rather,
Absolutely.
to be honest, sometimes it's also reverse is also true. In Bangalore, the attrition rates are whatever stories I hear is quite high. There is
Very
a
high.
saying that in the lunchtime people go and give interviews. At least things becomes little lesser prevalent. And of course, you need to take care of talent, nurture it, train them, and we have a strong uh, 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 training programs which are self or as well as from the company, where we are encouraging people to do keep updating themselves, purely because the opportunities will demand them to have a understanding of the trends, the understanding of AI, understanding of whatever we are building as next. So three things which, yeah, so I'll just add to it. So in tech, I'd consider three departments: product, technology, analytics. These three are very, very critical and they all three have the similar kind of a background. But equally important is the other departments or other talents, which is risk, underwriting, collections, finance, like, and many of the places. One more thing which has happened is that when you hire talent from other industry, and especially, I come from insurance and I built a financial services into a retail credit. I believe that when you hire people from across industries, yeah, your ability to really go through figuring out new ways of doing the same things become very, very strong, instead of just hiring from financial services or just hiring a tech from a specific BFSI domain.
And what about the economic interests here? Because generally, whenever you look at setting up a company in any ecosystem, right? For example, in India, it's always by default considered that Bangalore will be the most expensive place. Silicon Valley, don't set up a company in SFO, do it in Austin or some place, because there's a significant economic angle as well, right? Now, India, I'm between the top cities. I don't know. I'm not sure if the difference is that stark. But did you see that it was easier for you to get off the ground from an economics perspective in Pune versus having to set it up in NCR or in Bangalore?
So, see, if you're talking only of the manpower cost, I think the difference would be little less relevant. Yes, there are
Mm-hmm.
differences in the cost of living, cost of operations. Like the
Correct.
rentals would be very different in Pune versus if you want to set up in BKC. Those operating costs do make a difference. But I think, and which can translate into when you are hiring the large scale employees in some of the departments, the entry level income levels could be little different in every cities. But I think, but very critically for the senior positions or the mid level position, I believe that that difference is not very relevant, purely because today people are highly mobile. They are looking for opportunities. And I'm also willing to pay the right price to ensure that if the location is not a constraint, then the person should stay in Pune, purely because just not monetary, but overall benefits I provide to him. resonates well with his entire metric, whether it is monetary, whether it is we spoke about professional, etc. So I don't see that as a big challenge. But yes, generally speaking, Pune can be little easier from that perspective, from a cost perspective. But I will not attribute saying that my decision to set up in Pune was driven by this piece purely because in the early days or even today, finding a talent is more critical than this cost. So like I will not go and set up in a tier four cities because then the
Right.
cost can collapse completely. But
Obviously.
you need to build a balance. And second, other thing which also matters is that how quickly you can tap into the ecosystem. I grew up in I spent my entire professional career in Pune. So
Okay.
from that perspective, it also gave me a lot of comfort to have a where you know people around in Pune and you can really call help and you can really find people to come and uh, provide you advice, mentorship, etc. Through that process, and it becomes easier to move around. Like whether we talk about hiring a tech talent or even finding a cybersecurity expert in Pune, etc. Stepping into your own professional ecosystem becomes very, very easy for you to go and work on it.
Right. No, no. Specific positions, leadership position, I don't think the city matters, like you rightly said. It's only, the general, if you were to take an
Yeah,
average
from
of,
there,
yeah.
I don't think that moves the needle much
Mm.
into the game. From whether which city you are in, then it becomes more of a comfort. And like in US, because you spend so much time in US, many of the large companies built out in a towns like which we don't see in India, but now we are seeing that piece also
Right.
happening in India, where Jaipur and many other cities like Jaipur has so many tech companies which are coming out of Jaipur or Ahmedabad. So from that perspective, I think we are going on that path. But yes, I think Pune was a a very good mix of where the tech talent was there, given the fact of a very large population of software engineers which you can hire from. Almost all the financial services, the global banks has their office in Pune. Plus, of course, the all the large Indian software companies do have their offices here. Plus, do have a good amount of financial services talent also present in Pune. Plus, also it gives you a so it is a very very good confluence of all the factors. Whether we are talking about talent, whether we are talking about cost, whether we are talking about non-tech talent, very close to Mumbai, because being a financial services company, Mumbai is
Absolutely.
the financial
Mumbai
hub,
is the capital. Yeah.
capital of financial capital of India, and you need to be there to really do it. Like just to give another example, most of our VCs or the PEs are headquartered in Mumbai, not in
Mumbai.
Bangalore, purely because of the fact that financial services operates out of Mumbai.
Generally, in the country, whether your own employees or other people in the ecosystem that you talk to, is employee knowledge about ESOPs and so on, has they got better, or is there work that needs to get done in the space?
So I think there is a decent understanding of ESOPs, and it's the same cycle. The first 3 4 years of the company, it will be seen as a in the senior leadership, people who have worked for long will see it as an opportunity to play large. Even if they don't make money, they are fine. In the other categories will see this as a more of just an option where the immediate cash need could be higher. Like when in my 20s, my immediate cash needs was much higher than what it is today. So from that perspective, they don't value that at that point in time. But as the company goes through its maturity, the understanding of resource become much larger. People's need and ask of those will come up. Also, how do you structure is very critical. I don't see this as a tool to structure the compensation packages at a mid and junior level in the initial days or even today. It can be a
Okay.
compensation package for the senior and high performance team where you go and say that, look, let's say if I'm hiring a very senior person in the very early stage, I can't match his salaries, which is growing. So you need to go and match up saying that, look, can you make 10, 20x of what you are foregoing by participating in the journey with us? The rest, you need to see this as a variable cost. You need to see it as a bonuses. You need to see it as a uh, something you are paying today for the future incentives. And ESOPs is a much better way to do that piece because it compounds for the employees as well as it remains with them, because once you pay the cash this year, it is gone. But the ESOPs
Right.
actually plays both ways. For the employees also, it is a long-term compounding gain. For the institution, it gives an opportunity to have employees highly motivated.
No, great. I mean, and you guys are in a very unique position because you've also been providing wealth to employees, right? Through the early salary part of the first part of your journey. And I can just give you an example, an observation that we had. When I was running my previous startup, it was about close to 12, 13 years ago, we shared office space with a call center. One floor was ours and two floors was call center and two other floors was somebody else. And we had a common cafeteria, like six of them, and different price points and so on. And I noticed something it looked very unusual to me at that point of time, which kind of I later understood. So call center, this company was probably the largest in terms of workforce in that particular building. And we would see a pattern, like the first 10 days of the month, the cafeteria would be empty. And the next 10 days would be people crowding the better, caterers in that area. And towards the end of the month, go to the cheapest, caterer. And one of them told me that the last 5 days of the month, they don't even have money to pay. So they just, the caterer gives them a
That's the
credit
early
and
salary.
the cycle,
Yeah.
and the cycle repeats, right? So these are probably at that time were Ashish getting like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20,000 rupees a month. And we were like, this seems to be an age group where people want to spend everything that they earn, So
Absolutely.
when you guys did the early salary, what were the insights? I was always curious at this time because I'm sure majority of the population is not like that. This may be I don't know if it's an aberration or it's specific to one localized system. But I did remember in whatever earlier I'd read about you guys was more of people trying to borrow because there is a very specific need. It could be an emergency or it could be some specific need that drives them to go and get this advance or get this, borrow and so on. But generally, in the last 10 years, in terms of how people deal with their cash as a part of the products that you do, what are the insights? Is there anything that, we don't understand or we don't know here of how people tend to use their personal wealth?
So, it's a very interesting question, Satish. It needs its own podcast, but let me try to let me try to summarize it. So, in our learnings of early salary five is multifold. There is and it is a different set of consumers, different set of needs. I always believe that if I have given a loans to 3 million customers, I'm running a 3 million stories. So it is very, very
Right.
tough to generalize the stories because everyone has their own unique story which is running around. Having said that, there are patterns around those stories. So you are right. There are set of consumers who will have the first 10 days. They will have in your example, will go to the little better restaurants, and then the next
Correct.
10 days will be the medium level restaurants, and last 10 days it will be the cheaper level of restaurants where they will end up with that piece. And that was one of the insight on which we started early salary, saying that how do we really bridge that gap? And we have seen quite a large population. Like I had few friends who lived like that, in spite of earning good. There are people like others who will save money and ensure that they smoothen out their life in a very much better way. I don't know whether better I should say, or there is a life to smoothen out, because both is there from their perspective they are better off than other. So there are kind of people who there are kind of cohorts or the generation which is there. The second thing, what we have also seen, two things which was running together. One is age you mature, age you grow, your priorities change, your thought process, your overall is tendency changes. A 25-year-old will behave very differently when he become 30-year
Right.
old or 32-year-old. And the second is the thing which is running, it is that the generational change which is happening. So like my kid tells me that every 5 years now generation changes. There's
Absolutely.
Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, etc., which is going on. So from that perspective, also the 25-year-old which I've acquired 5 years back is very different than the 25-year-old I'm acquiring today.
Okay.
And we need to evolve with the person. We need to evolve where we might have started with a cohort saying that we will fund the customers who are very early in their careers, to fund the customers who remain with us for a long period of time, build the products for them also, and keep on acquiring. So just to add to this point, and you also evolve as a product.
Correct.
Apart from that, we also do education loans. We do healthcare loans. How do you really create products for different cohorts is very critical. And those cohorts are also changing. So you need to have a sharp eye on the behavioral changes, generational shifts, as well as the maturity profile of the consumers as they go along living their life. It's very critical to build sustainable long businesses.
So generally, as the country gets more aspirational, I think some of these newer cohorts will also probably come up. And like you rightly said, the employee of 2015 was earning whatever X is not the same, even
Yeah.
though the ages are the same. The aspirations and the
Yeah,
needs
very
are very, very
different, very
different.
different. And just to touch on your point on consumption or the aspirational class, I think India is going through a massive shift in the patterns of aspirations. The 2015 India is very different than today, and it will be very different in 2025. I always keep giving an example that in 2005, when people are looking at telecom as an analyst, and if they look at today of their reports of 2005, they would not able to believe that the telecom industry can mature to that piece where at max they thought that there will be 20 crore mobiles in the country of 100 crores, because not everybody will have it. Today we have
Right.
120, 140 crore people having 160 crore mobile phones. So it is
Absolutely.
at a different level. The aspirations are growing. Education levels are changing. The cultural changes are happening. When we started, consumption was in nascent stage. VC funding was in nascent stage. Angel funding was very, very small. Today, all these things has changed. In 10 years, I think my belief is that it will become much more vibrant, stronger, and very, very much diversified.
Well, I think there is again, there are so many uniques about you guys. It's amazing. Now, if you look at the company as such, I think year on year profitability, you guys have not raised as much as many other lending companies have raised. Got to this point, sharing wealth through liquidity with your employees. What next? What is the next big milestone that you are chasing?
So I think whenever we look at it, we always look at from a 3 to 5 year perspective. I always say that personally, I'm here for 20 years. With that piece, I'll build the company. So there will be 3, 6, 12 months when we might slow down, but we will build the company with a very, very long-term objective. And that is what we delivered over last 10 years, and specifically last 3 to 5 years. And we continue to do so. About 3 years back, when we were thinking about starting the education, healthcare financing, or purpose-led financing, we didn't thought that it will become that large so early, but we executed really well. In financial services, one thing is very good that you can, as much as you become large, you are still small. So from that perspective, there is a lot of room to grow. We want to build a very, very wholesome approach. Like there is a saying in the financial services that most of the time you need to talk about risk. The growth numbers needs to be seen, not to be talked. So we believe in that piece that you need to deliver your growth in numbers, but you talk about risk, you need to live in the risk, but ensure that your growth numbers, somebody else needs to look at it.
But year on year profitability, what is the logical next step, right? Any idea when you're going to do that?
So every company will evolve on its path. We continue to explore. We continue to figure out what is the right time to go and do those things. But yeah, we'll say that we are very, very clear on what we want to achieve.
Anything else that you would want to add, Ashish? I think we've covered a bunch of
No, no.
things.
So I'll just add, because we spoke a lot around the technology, talent, Pune, fintechs, etc. One of the things which I really learned about managing talent is how do you really build the culture of the company? How do you really, and the definition of culture in my mind is that key, whatever you uh, do habitually is your culture, not what you talk,
Absolutely.
what you do on a sometime you don't deliver on some other time. It is what you do habitually every time, whether there is a something which went wrong, something which went right. How do you really keep on delivering this thing every time is the culture. And showcasing something may not solve it. So it is always that how do you really go every day and do things is the what will determine your company. And there we have consciously over a period of time has built culture of openness, culture of accepting that if you are executing, there will be errors, there will be mistakes, and you need to accept those innovation or the mistakes in the same stride, and giving that kind of a comfort to the team, saying that, look, I always have your back, and we have delivered that piece consistently over a period of time, and that's why there is hardly any attrition which we have seen at a senior leadership level in last 10 years. Even today, I just saw on LinkedIn in the morning that one of my very early senior leader completed 10 years with us, and the company is 10 and not even a 10.5 year old. So he joined us 3 months after we started, and he remained with us for 10 years. So from that perspective, we have built that culture of managing the talent, and whether it is tech, whether it is analytics, whether it is high flying, whether it is mid level, whether it is a junior level, how do you really give that consistent environment is very critical, because at the end, at the core, we all are same. We want those kind of a validation. We want that kind of a safe environment, while ensuring that we are also very building something with a very strong KPI driven organization, but ensuring that you provide that kind of environment where they can flourish. So so that is the way philosophically we drive our talent, we drive our thought processes. Yeah, everything matters, whether it is monetary, whether it is recognition, whether it is ESOPs, whether it is promotions, new opportunities, growth opportunities, training. All these things will matter together. But at the end, it will also be what kind of environment they are working in is very, very critical.
Fabulous, fabulous stuff. Lot to learn from you guys, and I think it's been amazing just getting this insights out of you. Thank you so much for being part of this show. And our objective is just to talk to more and more individuals who have done this and not just taken a unique path and got to build their businesses, but also have this openness of how culturally the companies are set up, and how whenever some sort of wealth is generated, the wealth is shared. Really, thank you so much, Ashish, for doing this. Really appreciate your time.